sustainability for me was more of like a choice of how I wanted to run the business because it wasn't a thing yet.
Yeah.
Nobody talked about sustainability, at least in my circle of friends. It was just maybe you didn't heat up the pasta, you ate it out of the can.
I feel like we weren't talking about it a lot in the 90s yet.
Right. So, but then we started to.
Yeah.
And it became really popular.
Yeah.
And it became so popular, in fact, that people were willing to put the idea of sustainability in front of the action of sustainability.
Mm-hmm.
So we decided a while back, just why talk about it? What I do is I make art, mostly in the form of jewelry, objects, sculpture, paintings, pictures, parties, dances, fun, food. It's all art. I want to make it with the highest integrity. I want to blow people away and myself with the innovation and the experience. And that's really it. So don't tangle with the civic structures, with the environmental structures, with the social structures. Like none of this like, oh, if you get this, you'll be more loved, or you'll be, you'll show up at the conference room more confident if you wear my thing. Like, and I don't have anything problem with other people doing it. I'm just saying I want to stay away from those structures and just make the art and see how it shakes out.
Hi, everyone. I'm Jennifer Egbert, and I'm with Mile High Modern here in Boulder. And my guest today is Todd Reed. Love him to pieces. I think I'm throwing our questions out the window, given our pre-podcast conversation, and we'll ask a few. But thanks for being here. I super appreciate you.
Thank you. I appreciate you too. Actually, where do I look?
You can look at me. You can look at your camera, but we're just talking.
All right.
Yeah.
Let's just talk.
So, and just out of our conversation, something that I thought of is I want to talk about art in Boulder. And Todd is an artist. He's a proficient jeweler who has beautiful pieces, of which I want all. And you were just talking to me about Art Venture.
Yeah, I mean, that's a pivotal way to start off the conversation.
Just go right for the jugular.
Yeah, coming in. Hot. Art in Boulder is something that I'm really passionate about. I think people know. I think maybe this is what we talk about the whole time. I'm
right.
Egbert,
Who knows?
you. I want to do whatever you want to do. This is
This
supposed to be fun. But the art conversation is always like the funnest one because it involves commerce and dialogue and risk and community involvement, which the community is not always super,
I think sometimes they don't know about it.
Right, ready to engage. So I love the arts in Boulder are everything to me. I moved here because surrounded by the arts. I've tried to build my business to be part of the arts community. Can you guys hear me over there? Am I good? 'Cause I'm hearing lots of chatter and stuff. Are you guys? You okay?
Yeah.
You don't exist?
They're not here.
Those guys aren't here.
They're not here.
I don't know if anybody can hear me.
It's just me and you.
I was just having a meeting with somebody. He was like, sometimes when we talk, we're talking about grasping things, and the things that we're to grasp are like air. And I'm like, yeah, but it's like the ideas are so concrete. There is some relationship to the art question. But
artists.
So you go like, oh, I'm grabbing at something that's just ethereal. It's just like an idea. But the job of us is to make the idea like sort of semi like permanent and then permanent. Like we have to like, it gets like thicker and thicker and thicker, and that's like our job. Otherwise, it's like all just air for everybody. And then I was like tuning into this thing about if everything's 98% energy and things are only like 2%, like the table's only like 2%. So it makes sense that it feels like we're grasping, especially in the area of innovation. And the full circle is that it feels like the arts community, in Boulder is sort of in an innovative area or an area of expansion.
I feel like that too. I just learned about, I would say it's been about a year now, but like even Seidel City.
Yeah.
And I was like, that was such a relief to find out about, that there were something so interesting and interactive going on out in the county that, I think they've been around for a while, or like Boulder Creative Collective. Mm-hmm. I mean, you are doing shows at your showroom, right?
Yeah.
You have stuff going on there, and
I
don't know. It's just, I think it's like super important because we have gone through some low times, I think, in the art community in Boulder, and then I'm seeing them kind of ramp up right now. Well,
Well, my feeling is that the community, and we do this, and I actually did a radio show about this recently. I don't know how it was actually met, but the thing is that the community is always there, and I think it's always been here. And I think people who would be from here, I mean, I would argue that if like, you know, bless him, you know, if like Bill Valier was sitting here today, he'd talk about it from like a total, you know, from maybe 30 years ago or 40 years ago, and I can speak about it from like 20 years ago to now. And there's so many people here. I mean, God, the town is just filled with, you know, designers and, you know, artists and craftspeople. It seems it's like a mecca. But everybody seems to be continually always talking about like, where's the art scene? Where's the hub? And I keep offering this. It's kind of gentle. It's almost even like sensitive. It's not a hard line. It's just, what if it actually is, like the whole thing is the arts community? And people are like, well, no, it's a tech community. It's a tech hub.
It's a hippie town.
Real estate thing. It's a whatever, you know. Town, But the reality is the one thing that makes the community is the relationship between the art and the commerce. And people, I know there's people out there going, oh my God, another eye roll with Todd and the art and the commerce thing. But it really is the community, like community exists. Like no tech company would have come to Boulder. And I'd love like, you know, any of the tech companies to like, I don't know if there's one of those things online where you can like type in like an OM or an original message and say like, oh, we have this question or something. I don't know. But
they have art galleries in their offices.
Yeah, I think that the reason why commerce comes to a town, why business comes to a town is because there's artists. Artists usually come in first. Not first. That meant no disrespect. Like people settled here, like ancestors. I'm talking like now. Artists come to a community, whether it's New Jersey or neighborhoods in New York or wherever it is in Austin or wherever it might be. But in Boulder, since the beginning of where I've ever heard of it, and my friends' parents or whatever who are artists, if it's so the artists come, and then it's exciting. It's cool. It's what we'd call vital, right? And then there's more like restaurants, and there's more music, there's more stuff, and there's more cool people who are thinking about things like expansive thinking and innovation and exploration and creativity and how to connect and talking and all this stuff. And then business goes like, well, who do I want? I want access to all that, and I want the cool restaurants. And I, you know, when I took my daughter to college, it was amazing. I heard all these people at the coffee shop talking about like real stuff, you know, and oh my God, like, no, this is hypothetical.
Oh, gotcha, yeah. Oh, you mean when they're coming here?
Yeah.
People are blown away when they come into Boulder.
So that's why the business comes. Yeah. But then the business potentially and most often drives the artists out. And it's our job in this community, and this is why I was saying that it's sort of a pivotal time to sort of recognize this, where we have 1.5 million square feet of tech taken up just by Google and some other largers just recently, which I'm so excited about for the opportunity that it gives. But the idea would be that not everything continues to have the concept. I don't think it's happening of driving the artists out. So I actually don't think it's happening. So my point of the story is I think we're actually in the arts community. It's consistently here. It's all around us, whether this is a tech haven or it's all CU football. And why do they get the great floors and nobody else gets any money? And, you know, it's like, you know, all the arguments, like we are in the art world here in Boulder all the time.
Well, and they're creating spaces for it too, because we really, to your point, we're lacking space because it's expensive.
Yeah.
And for the most part, unless you've got like, you know, a patron as an artist, you're not, or you're independently wealthy, or you're actually producing and selling a ton of expensive art, you're not coming in and being able to be like, oh, I'm going to get a gallery on Pearl Street.
Right.
And artists shouldn't be gallery owners necessarily. You know?
Not necessarily. Artists got to do what they got to do.
Yeah, they got to go out and create and make the world a better place, you know?
But Jen, it's serious. Like Boulder is the best town. If you are an artist and you want to just make, you want to have a gallery, one of the new ventures that I'm doing is a gallery design space that's available only for events, which is kind of a cool concept. So you host events, you're in a museum quality art venue that's focused on integrity of design and high art.
That's awesome.
Done through my lens. I say, oh yeah, I'm actually on video, so you can see I was a little tongue-in-cheek through my lens.
And I think it's cool, and therefore you're going to think it's cool too, man.
Yeah. So, but this is a town where you can do that. Like, you can play around, and I think that we do. I noticed a really creative, cool little like pop-up on Pearl Street just the other day. I was walking to a coffee. I don't know what the name of it is, but the artists are great. I wish I knew.
Is it where Old Chicago
No.
okay.
I bet there's something there too, but I don't get that far. I'm on the other end of town.
Oh, it's on your side?
Yeah, it's over by Cured. It's, God, ladies, I'm so sorry. I don't remember the name. I don't know if there is a name, but there's an amazing painter. There's several amazing
Boulder,
jewelers.
East Pearl. Oh,
hit it up.
Bohemi. Is it
right next to them?
Heather NG's shop?
Right next to her.
Bielke, Bohemi.
In between there, in that zone, you guys. That is
somebody has going to have to comment. And
yeah, so there's a whole block.
Let us know.
So there's a whole block of the most. I don't want to say the most because we have a creative town, but between Cured,
cool, eclectic.
Yeah, there's like a whole bunch of artist shops that have like moved in, and I love it. So there's like the leather person, and then there's like the jeweler, and then there's like a mixed craft gallery, and then there's like the piercing shop, and then there's like another one, and then it was like where Top Hat Supply used to be. It's like temporary in there. Anyway, I'm always kind of revived by the art scene, and I talk to people all the time, whether it's like some of the more successful artists in town, like commercially successful, are really killing it, or people that are really just exploring their art and haven't even figured out how they want to show it yet. At every place where people are at, it seems to be a hub of creativity, and I think that that's really inspiring. I think it's good for the rest of Boulder.
It's good for our souls.
Yeah.
We need it. You know, I mean, I agree that I think that is kind of the well-roundedness that when people are coming into town and looking at things, that's what a part of it, you know, like, is there music? Is there art? Is there food? Is there scenery? You know, those kind of things.
You been to Rosetta Hall yet?
Yes. We keep talking about it. Everybody's talking about Rosetta Hall. Yeah.
Everybody's talking about it?
Yeah. And I think that is really, they hit the nail on the head with that. I have to be honest and say that I didn't know if it was going to take off or not. And they just nailed it. You know, like the space is gorgeous. And to have the rooftop deck and do like the cabanas and stuff like that, I think are so interesting. I mean, they're very not Boulder, but Boulder was hungry for it.
Hungry. Love it. So I think there's a lot of good, I think that there's still a lot of, there's just an awesome amount of opportunity, but shit did get expensive.
It is.
That's a reality. And but I think we have great planners. I don't know. I love where we are, and it's centered around the arts. So. Yeah.
So, what are some of the events then that are taking place at Art Venture?
Oh, I'm not gonna. It's an event space for hire. I do my own company events, and if people and people out in the community, out of your many followers, hopefully there's somebody who's seen my store before and knows about some of these events.
Is it going to be in the Todd Reed space?
It's there's a breakout. There's 2,700 square feet of our space it was actually our event space anyway, but that is now being available for other people to use also.
That's awesome.
So, Monte Modern, I'm going to hit you up. Biff.
Yeah.
Kathy.
Yeah. And you're doing Conference of World Affairs.
Yep.
Cool.
Yep. We're talking with those guys right now. We've actually got a few events planned, but it's hard. Most of the things are. It's not meant to sound exclusive because it's not. No. But so many of the obviously events that people buy are private, so it's not like when we do like Trans Blues Festival or something where there's ticket sales. Actually, we're considering. Actually, right now, I don't know, Conference on World Affairs, if you get mad at me, do it offline. But there's a consideration of an event where there is a pay-to-play event.
Cool.
Everything is in conversation right now for 2020. And
what's like your ideal event that you would be holding there?
Ideal event that I would be holding? Or somebody would be. Like who do you want to see
ideal
event that I'm
through?
holding is I just love showing my art. So the actual existence of the space is the ideal event. Mm-hmm. We do these community dinners in these salons, and sweet. I think that when we pull the salons back into that space, which will be more artful, I think that'll bring more resonance to the sort of concept. What I always start the salons out with, we do the salons that, to connect hearts and minds and to build community. Mm-hmm. And that's ultimately the only purpose. But I think doing that in a high environment, in a high aesthetic environment is worthwhile. So, I think we'll pull those back there. Our community dinners have always been back there. Our community events have always been back there. Okay. It's just sort of like we redesigned it. I worked with good friend who it's just amazing. He does amazing work, and he's also an artist, but he did the whole entire thing himself with me. And me just saying like, do you think we should do that? And him being like, no, we should do this. And I go, okay, that's a better idea. Like, totally awesome. Steve.
Okay.
Thank you, Steve.
Thanks, Steve. You're helping Todd. What have the dinners been that you've done?
Well, we've been doing dinners since we started. What haven't we done? We frequently do dinners to connect museum, all the the Denver museums with Boulder Museum of Contemporary Art. I guess that's the only. Is there another museum? Now there's the Boulder Museum, but they didn't exist when we did our planning for for 2019. The idea is to connect because of the privilege of doing the kind of work that we do and attracting the kind of people that we can attract through the art. They're usually interested in similar things. So like say for E-Town or whatever, or for the any of the museums, we really want to try to bring people to a dinner. Well, one, I think community is built, over art and commerce. Of course, we keep saying that, but also over food. Yeah, of course,
for sure.
When you make somebody food, you're giving them love. You're giving them a piece of your soul, of your character, of your authenticity. No matter how much you're cooking for somebody, you're always doing it from yourself,
and thinking about them.
Yeah. So we work with artists also on the food side, on the drink side, to bring this thing together. And the idea is to connect people. We don't just invite our 14 or 20 top friends. We invite the right people to connect with the right cause. So it's Blue Sky Bridge, which we do really nice dinners with, where we want to connect people to the donor base and to the cause, because there's certain causes where people don't really want to stand on a pulpit and talk about sexual abuse in the home and what we offer as an organization. But in a small environment, we can talk about it with a lot of intimacy, authenticity, creativity. And I always want to position people at that table who can align on a personal level and on a professional level. So that's talking about dollars. That's the commerce piece. Sure. I want to connect people that can bring vitality, creativity, and dollars into a cause if they align with it. So that's why we would typically have like a museum dinner, and they're fun too. Like the last BMOCA dinner we did, and some of you guys, if there's any BMOCANs out there, didn't take your. I made everybody this really cool piece of art, and some people left it. I don't know if that's because you didn't love it. Last time I did the art thing, everybody took it, so I don't know. But I made these scrolls of music, and I don't know anything about music, and they were done in gold. I love gold. I do everything in gold and black, and I kind of made my own form of music, squirrels and squiggles and lines and stuff, and what I would perceive as like, this is going down, this is going up, and this whole thing. And then I wrote words to it. And in there was all kinds of art, drawings and pictures and goofy stuff. If anybody knows me, there's quite a bit of that. There's some of those goofy tidbits that work their way into pretty ordinary things. So here's like a sheet of music, but there's like elaborate drawings and stuff all over them. But I did one for each person. This was kind of funny. I'll give some back behind the scenes on this. But I wrote all these words, and the idea was that this is a community. This is involved. We're trying to build community again. We're trying to connect hearts and minds with everything we do. So we're sitting at the table, and there's real stuff coming up. Talking about museum. People are meeting. Of course, I'm pairing people. They don't know each other. You're not sitting with your friends. Everybody's getting to know each other. There's food. There's senses, and then at some point, people start to realize that there's the thing in front of them. They're musing. What is it? And they're opening, and I haven't said anything yet. There's some aloofness to this, and. So at a certain point at the end of the dinner, I say, actually, there's a point to this. And certain points throughout the dinners, I don't know if you've been to a dinner, but I stand up and I say different things. And it might just be if I feel like there's a point where people need to be connected, or also I want to connect like the chef or a purpose of the non-for-profit or whatever that's happening. But with this one, I got to say, okay, everybody has a thing. Now this is a poem. And it was purpose built, like the last one I did too. It had a sculpture built for each person at the thing. Cool. But so it was a poem, and each person's one was sort of designed for them. But what happened? 2 people didn't show up. This happens. I understand.
If you're in Boulder, they didn't RSVP to show up until the day of.
It's always the nature of throwing events, but they were like, there was also on an internal glitch that we had was in our seating plan, which was important because each person had a part in this theatrical performance. There were 3 Marys.
Oh, no.
But it didn't put the last names on the seating charts. So, I come in to put the scrolls of music in. And anyway, it worked, kind of, I thought. But I'm always making air solid, so...
Right.
So we sing the song, and we do it in different ways, and it worked. Like, it made the same sense either way we did it. It was really fun. We had a good time. But that's an example of, some of the dinners that we do.
That's
when it was when E-Town Hall was being built, we really wanted to connect Nick and Helen, and they were selling the solar panels, and really wanted to connect them with people that weren't from Boulder.
Cool.
So we had a dinner that focused on people that they didn't know that hadn't donated.
That hadn't been in
and although
before.
it wasn't a fundraiser, I don't ever stand and fundraise for people. We want to connect people with hearts and minds. And by building community, people inherently, because we're humans, and humans are just built, well, as I say this, we also built to want to kill each other, but we're built to want to help each other. And I tend to err on that side of want to help. So the events are really gauged around that. And then, of course, they bring awareness to my studio also. And one of the reference points that we have, which we don't just exist to sell jewelry, that's always nice. But the more community that we build, then the more relevant we are. When people are ready to, then they will come and take a look. So it's really good for everybody.
Yeah. And, what's so cool, as you mentioned, the jewelry that you make is, you have this beautiful style. I can, as I think most people in Boulder can do, we can spot your work. If somebody's got it on, we're like, oh, Todd made that. That's so cool. And you're doing conflict-free gems, which is great.
Yeah.
And when did you move into that?
Well, conflict-free diamonds. I don't know that there's conflict-free gems yet, but there might be.
Diamonds.
But conflict-free diamonds came online. So I started using rough diamonds in 1988 into 1992. And conflict-free diamonds, like the Kimberly process certificate stuff, started to come online a little bit later. So there wasn't... my deal around sustainability was just to not actually tangle with the industry. This is sort of like me in a lot of ways. Like I see why it's relevant to put the couch in front of the TV because it makes sense, but I'm probably going to do it slightly different. Yeah. So my angle and why I even got into the jewelry was more about the sustainability practice for myself, not rather for like the whole industry or what politically was happening or whatever. So I always liked the idea of the Little Prince, and what I say is beautiful is beautiful. And I guess that's also that I'm an Aries, and I don't mean that to be sound not thoughtful in any way, but I don't always want to like explain like why is something so beautiful to me, or why does this design element work, and I started this company when I was 17. And
wow, I didn't know that.
When I was incorporated Todd Reed Inc. when I was 19. And when I had just gotten out of high school, I kind of dabbled with it before I got out of high school, and I took a long time to get out of high school. You can do the math, and but
okay, I never graduated from college.
Yeah,
so.
but the sustainability thing was always really important to me. That I didn't want to like tangle with it. I was more interested in why society was telling me that she liked me at a half carat and loved me at a carat. I was like, what? What is that? Like,
I'm sure you hear stuff like that all the time.
Well, that was the embedded propaganda.
Gotcha.
When before like this whole idea. Well, also just like the idea of being a man. I had to say, I mean, that like for me to love you enough, I have to work harder, spend more, be bigger, be stronger, be smarter, be like, I thought love was supposed to be this like thing that just happened. It wasn't even something you planned. You just, how can I be bigger and stronger? And all of a sudden I kept feeling for people my age who were like, I think I'm supposed to spend like 30% of my income.
They had all these rules.
I only make like $24,000 a year. I'm like a climber, or like, I'd be like, I'll make it for you, man.
Yeah.
And so for me, it was like using rough diamonds was a social statement, and it was a civic and environmental statement saying we're going to use the refuse. Just like when I make sculpture, or when Dan Nibelink opened up Colorado Water Jet in Berthoud, Colorado, it was like the most amazing thing for sculptors in the community, because you go out there and they'd give you the end cuts, which I don't think they do anymore. I think they sell them, which of course, I mean, that's good business. But I figured this out in many different areas of the luxury industry. If there is an industry around luxury, it means it means that that there's a lot of waste. So that was tongue in cheek. Yeah. So I started taking advantage of the waste, and I started doing that when I was 19 years old when I started the company, and saying, wow, people throw away these diamonds that are perfectly cubic and they're brown and they're polycrystalline coated.
They're really cool.
But they're totally beautiful, and their root geometry is so strong. And talk about, triangles, squares, and circles. Design. I'm a designer, although I'm not an educated designer. I feel like I live and sort of breathe design. So even the natural crystal shapes that the diamonds grow in are the sort of the form of design as we know it.
Well, they cast off an interesting tone too, and like the.
Oh yeah, but they were being thrown away when I started doing this. People didn't use rough diamonds. The diamond companies, these were industrial diamonds primarily. Diamond companies would oftentimes have a collection of really nice, fancy, uncut diamonds, and I was quoted a long time ago, like in the early 90s, for saying, the deal is you can't uncut a diamond. So be careful. Once we cut all the diamonds, you can't go back. And I still believe that. So I started using rough diamonds, rough emeralds, rough sapphires, rough rocks, river rocks, pebbles, rough gold, anything that I liked in the jewelry, because I thought it was beautiful and it spoke more to character than it did to sameness. And in the world around me, there kept being like sameness was more important. Did you have a Westphalia? That was cool, because I was in Durango in the early 90s, late 80s, early 90s, and it was like,
you needed to have a van.
Yeah, of course, the Westphalia. And I had a cool carpet on the top of mine. It wasn't even on the floor. It was on the roof. It was so cool. And, but sustainability for me was more of like a choice of how I wanted to run the business, because it wasn't a thing yet. Yeah. Nobody talked about sustainability, at least in my circle of friends. It was just maybe you didn't heat up the pasta, you ate it out of the can.
I feel like we weren't talking about it a lot in the 90s yet.
Right. So, but then we started to. Yeah. And it became really popular. Yeah. And it became so popular, in fact, that people were willing to put the idea of sustainability in front of the action of sustainability. So we decided a while back, just why talk about it? What I do is I make art, mostly in the form of jewelry, objects, sculpture, paintings, pictures, parties, dances, fun, food. It's all art. I want to make it with the highest integrity. I want to blow people away and myself with the innovation and the experience. And that's really it. So don't tangle with the civic structures, with the environmental structures, with the social structures. Like none of this like, oh, if you get this, you'll be more loved, or you'll be, you'll show up at the conference room more confident if you wear my thing. And I don't have anything problem with other people doing it. I'm just saying I want to stay away from those structures and just make the art and see how it shakes out.
So tell me about that. So you were in Durango and you were 1920s. Yeah. And when did you start attracting high-end clientele? From Durango, or were you were like, okay.
I mean, it was Durango, but
but you Crested Butte.
And it's funny. And my mentor in Durango actually just came up the other day in a meeting with a client. The world is so small. Right. But, back then there was Ben Nighthorse Campbell owned Towatin Gallery. Yeah. And it's Ben. He's a jeweler, and he's amazing. And the whole family respected art as a value. Yeah. And that was the gallery in the town. Okay. That was before. And, now, anyway, doesn't matter when we plug galleries, but they have a long family history of art and in the Southwest. So I had an inn there. It was also before the internet. Yeah. So you do bold things like I would take a picture of something like a Polaroid, and I'd write on the back of it like, this is the price, this is the materials, and then I stick an envelope and send it to somebody. And that somebody
just
could have been
like somebody that you
basically
chose.
Random, because if you remember the time, you could pick up like an InStyle magazine, and you could go to like Marion Fassel or And they would have like the style file. This stuff hasn't existed for like 20 years.
Yeah.
But you go through and the things would actually give people's like information. You could find out
That's right.
Oprah's assistant, or you could get a hold of somebody very easily by how it was written. It was just the style of editorial. There's all this information given. There was no internet. It wasn't like there's
I totally remember that, yeah.
So I would send things to like designers, architects, celebrities, like
That's great.
politicians, like actors, silly, kind of naive things, but it was amazing the response, and I still think the power of a handwritten letter is really, really strong.
Absolutely.
And everybody out there, no, I'm sorry, I don't do this much anymore.
All day long. I try and send out like 50 a week. So.
Oh my God, you suck.
I love thank you notes.
Send me one.
I will.
You're
getting one right out.
I don't send them enough, and I'm like, oh God, Egbert always sends me stuff. It's so nice. But
flowers for your birthday.
I know, you're terrible.
Oh, I know, I'm the worst. So what was that feeling when you got that
So that
first...
was sort of started the high, to answer your question.
Yeah.
Then I started, I was just a kid, and I didn't know anything. I was a teenager.
Right.
I wasn't in my 20s yet, and I never got into it with any industry knowledge or with the idea of like my company will generate X amount of revenue and dominate all the categories of jewelry. I just was a high school student who liked making beautiful things, and I found that I had a penchant for taking things that other people had kind of like already chucked and putting it back together in a way that was really beautiful and got people excited. And I thought, wow, well, that's cool, so
I'm good at that.
I'm going to do that.
Yeah.
And then built it from there, whereas I think a lot of people in jewelry are like, well, I need to pay a mortgage, I've got 2 kids in school, and I've got to do this, and I got, there's all this stuff, or I've gone to art school, so I've got to pay this off, or so I didn't really, my motives were just to make really amazing, beautiful things and keep pushing that. So I was always in that high end to start with.
Yeah.
But it's been working out, and it's getting juicier. I mean, the pieces I'm making right now are just so fun, and smoking accessories, housewares. Got to come in and see some housewares.
Really?
It's been just a real moving up to Boulder from Durango exploded my creativity because of accessity to other people that were doing interesting things
that are traveling to and from Boulder.
Intelligent,
I know.
just good stuff.
That's so cool.
But so the high end, started that way, and kind of will be that way.
So what would your advice be then for those young artists who don't feel like design school is their traditional route?
Yes, my advice is always go with passion. It's a little canned now because I've said it a bunch. I really mean it, though.
Yeah.
I had this talk just this morning, like, the passion is authentic. Man, we spend like a lot of our lives trying to knock the authenticity out of ourselves.
Trying to be somebody you're not.
Trying to that's like the codependency piece, whatever therapeutic language resonates out there in the world to our followers today. But going with what's authentic, even if it's wrong and it might change, I'm given that there's no wrong or right, but that at this moment, this is authentic. And it's what I care the most about. It's passion. Like I know that I talked to Chandel about this. She has this. She'd be like, I knew it. I should have followed I knew it. But I thought I want to give another chance. And, me too. I'll be like,
there's a thing.
I knew it.
There's a thing.
And we just spent
Did you
so
listen
much of
to
our
your
life
parents?
trying to. I was a good boy. I mean, I moved out of my house at a young age, and started my life young. My adult life young. Yeah. But of course I listened to my parents, and
Do you regret it?
No. No, I tell you,
Sorry, Mom. I do.
We might have been a little different. My upbringing was different. I moved out when I was really young. I became independent young.
Same.
So there was we started a less of a parental relationship at the age of 15, 16. Yeah. And that becomes more of a colleague friendship type relationship where you decide even together how much time you want to spend together and how you want the relationship to work. The
conversations are different.
Versus, I need you because I don't know how to get a doctor for my sore throat or whatever, which happens, below 15 or whatever.
Right.
Yeah.
It's such an interesting one. But I think that is a common thing that we've heard from the people that we've had the opportunity to interview is really that, like, listening to your gut and really, I think, trusting yourself more than anybody over,
Yeah. And like
powerful.
And even like in the face of like obvious and realistic obstacles, or even that there's no pure evidence ahead that what you're embarking on is realistic or
you don't
possible.
You're a risk taker.
Did you ever read that book Endurance? The story of Sir Ernest Shackleton.
Yes, I know what you're talking about. Yeah, I haven't read it.
Wow. Pick
So
that
good.
one up.
Okay.
That's a good book. I bet Sky's read that book. Books like that, like how you get past something that that other people or other circumstances would have one not be able to see a way past.
The Alchemist was like that for me. That was a big one when I was 19. I don't know why. I mean, the journey and everything, but it really just resonated at the time. I think I read it like on a plane trip to New York or something like that. Like,
yeah, that's a great one.
And it really was a shifter, like a game changer.
Those are transformative books.
They are. That's so cool. So what about, you have this great kind of, I mean, would you call it a break? It sounds like you had the right connections, you were doing the right things, you were going after what you wanted. And then what was the thing, like, what was the thing for you? Like, where you really realized, like, this was it. Like, I'm going for it. I'm doing it. All of a sudden, this beautiful showroom in Boulder.
That wasn't all of a sudden.
California. I know. It never is. 15 years all of a sudden it happened.
Yeah. Like, there wasn't one particular break for me, and I'm an Aries, so I'm always going to go get it.
Yeah.
Like from day one, I was like, well, I'm going to be the best diamond setter. I'm going to be the best. When I was at culinary school, I'm going to make more layers in my feet.
Were you in culinary school?
Yeah. I actually learned everything about business that I know, not from my my like 6 attempts of getting out of high school and no college.
Yeah.
But it was the training that I got at culinary school.
Where did you go?
I went to what at the time was called Horst Mager Institute, but is now called Western Culinary Institute. It's in Portland, Oregon.
Okay.
Great story about that, but I'm not going to share it right now.
Why?
That keeps people wanting more. Building desire is important at this day and age where people get everything they want.
But people want to know if that was where you like developed your business acumen.
Oh yeah, I can talk about that.
Okay.
Business.
You can tell us the other story later.
There's the story.
At
is a good one.
Later date. Todd Reed part 2.
I might tease. Yeah, that's a teaser. If people like us,
Todd
we'll
Reed
continue
2.
this thing where you pay me all the money to come and talk.
Right. Perfect.
What was the question?
So your business acumen.
Oh, it did come from culinary school. Well, I probably come from a little bit of just being the kind of person I am.
Sure.
Where I want to be good at something. But at culinary school, it wasn't all about cooking, which I didn't know.
Okay.
I was like, well, I'm going to college, and I had a story about how I got to culinary school, which is the interesting story. But it was like, when I was there, I was like, oh, we're not just cooking. What the fuck? We're learning how to run a business and like repair equipment and food safety and
interesting
cost things and hiring and firing and food cost percentages and profit margins.
So they were teaching you to be restaurateurs as well.
Yeah, how to run a business.
Okay.
And then, of course, you make a consomme and a thing and a thing and a thing and a thing. And I studied and focused in pastry.
Okay.
And became a pastry chef. And that was before Food Network and that kind of stuff. So there was a thing called the Culinary Olympics, which people might remember.
Did you want an A+ all the time?
A+ that. I was like, yes, Culinary Olympics, I'm gold medal.
I'm going to be on
which I never was gold medal. But I always wanted to make the best thing I could make. Yeah. And that started a long time ago. So I really respect people who make it in food. And when I got out of culinary school, I had a choice. I said, well, I was doing culinary school and I was making jewelry for the chefs, and I had a studio on Swan Island, and I was selling jewelry under the Burnside Bridge, and I was doing the festivals and following the Grateful Dead around, not to go to the shows, but to sit out there with my blanket on Shakedown Street saying $20 or $40, because the small turquoise ring or the larger turquoise ring.
Oh, sure.
And when I got out of culinary school and I graduated with some really nice accolades, I felt so proud of myself because I really was for the first time.
Right.
I didn't get through high school easily.
You made it through, though.
I really did a good job. And I loved it and I learned a lot. But I got out of there and I was like, I don't want to do the work in the kitchen for somebody else at 4 a.m. decorating cakes. Like, I want to do this thing that I've been learning, which is how to be a good business person, but mix that with this thing that I've become so passionate about, which is making jewelry.
Yeah.
So I had a bench in my apartment, in Beaverton, outside of Portland. And I ride my bike down the highway, to do that. But I was making jewelry instead of like dreaming about, a different type of pastry. I was going home and making jewelry.
Interesting.
Yeah. So I learned some of that business stuff from there. And then, of course, being in business for 30 plus years now, I got a little bit better at it, but I'm still really, really learning. So.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's the same thing. You learn something new every year, whether you want to or not.
Yeah. I'm taking it in right now. I tell you, though, there was years where I think it was like I was in it like a lot and I could have been learning, but I wasn't. I was just stuck on what I'd been doing and things that seemed to work. And it even took me a long time to realize that things that weren't working, obviously, when other people around me had seen that they weren't working first. Mm-hmm. And, those are some of the realities of business, too. It's just like when to tone down, practice humility.
Dial it back.
Yeah, and I've really learned that one in spades in this section of my life.
I always, my whole thing too is like, if you're not pushing the boulder up the hill, like you're coasting, you're in trouble. Like that, for me anyway, that's a thing. Like I always am I want to do more. I want to do it really well. And so I very much empathize with what you're talking about.
Yeah.
And there is that strong desire to be the A+. I don't know if it's the A+, but the best.
Oh yeah. But when do you want to tone it down? I mean, not to be the best, but just how much, especially you,
I'm noticing it now, as I'm 47. I'm but there is a thing where I go, oh, okay, well, how much is it? When is it enough?
Yeah.
And I think that, having a younger kid helps with that too, but I think it's a really good question for business owners to have for themselves, because I don't want to burn out.
Yeah.
And you don't want to burn out.
No, I already did.
Right?
I already burned out, and now I'm firing back up again. It's actually quite nice.
Well,
I
think that would have been a couple years ago for me anyway, now I'm on this other trajectory and it's going to be awesome. But I think that's a gift to be able to recognize finally when you hit that point and you're like, I need to dial things back.
Yeah.
Because you dialed back in a big way.
Mm-hmm. I've been dialing back. I've been trying in my personal life, my spiritual life, my professional life, and everything to dial back so that I can enhance not only my art, but my relationships. Yeah. And then, of course, at the core of all that, and they go, well, why is the art fucking up? And why are the relationships chunking? And why is your, whatever? It's like, oh, my relationship with myself. Fucking Bruce Tift,
Gotta take care of yourself. Sleep's important.
And not just that, but really the core stuff, real stuff. What can you expect everybody else? Is it, is it really always everybody else? Is it really the economy? I just got out of a business meeting. Do we always have to take the victim position? Is it competition? Is it economy? Is it that nobody calls back? Is it that, nobody looks at their RSVP thing? Is it just, it's no, we can't be in that space anymore. And what's really good for my business, and maybe people at work we talk about this stuff all the time, but as I evolve, the hope that everybody else sort of picks up the new me. I probably brought in some of that victim mentality because I had some of that in my own life. Mm-hmm. I might have even attracted that into our world. And I'm saying at this point, we've always controlled it. If we won, it was because of us.
100%.
And if we chunked, it was because of us.
100%. I truly believe in the notion that we get to create who our clientele is. Mm-hmm. I mean, that is something that I did and always go back and revisit, is that whole ideal customer avatar.
Yeah.
And who is going to light up my life every day so that I get to light up their life.
Right.
You know, that sentiment of like really trusting, again, it goes back to trusting your heart and trusting your gut. And how do you walk through the world like that?
Yeah.
And you don't have to exclude people. Your people are going to come to you.
Right. Yeah. How do you do it?
I write it down first. I have to write it down because I have to think it through. And it was a thing for me of like not being everything to everyone was such a revelation. And I feel like it was a gift that I learned earlier on. I mean, I learned it through the year that I got divorced and my dad was dying at the same time. And I was losing all these friends, you know, because everybody gets involved in your divorce. And I remember just having this moment where I was like, wow, like they probably were never actually in my life. Mm-hmm. And then who are all those people that remained there steadfast? Because I'm a pretty consistent person. So, and really valuing those relationships and then just getting to create the new ones. Like I'm somebody who honors breakups, you know? And so to me, they show me if there's a breakup, I've probably been way out of integrity in my own, you know, being and like lost myself or something like that. So I write it down. I like to map it out and just be like, you know, like what are, you know, like those people who I get to work with, what are their hopes and dreams? What are their deepest fears? You know, who am I to them in that space? Yeah. And then, you know, when I get to sit there and I'm working with modernists, it's a way different conversation than just showing a house. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's a way different conversation where, I mean, and a lot of the times we become friends.
Sure.
Because it's a deeper, more like in the DNA of like what we're into kind of conversation. It changes a lot. It makes my job really fun.
Well, you figured out how to do it to your point. Like,
yeah. And really
how to
be
how to walk the walk and how to walk through it and how to keep the integrity and not.
I'm really bad liar. You know, like I'm a bad faker.
Yeah.
So I gave that up a long time ago.
How many times you try?
So how many times did I try and fake or how many times did I try and give it up?
I can't give it up.
I'm going to say, I don't remember like much in my earlier years. I think like emotionally probably a late bloomer. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like I didn't know, you know, in the 90s, like girls dressed in baggy clothes and we weren't, you know, like that kind of thing where you see girls now and they're like showing it off. And so it wasn't like,
we dressed exactly the same with white pegged jeans and a J. Crew shirt with
bringing
rubber
the
buttons.
80s back, hardcore. Yeah. And so I think that's kind of a given, but I think that there was, I know I have this friend, Sally Hogshead, and she's a keynote speaker. And she does this test called How to Fascinate. And what it is a personality inventory. And it shows you, though, how the world looks at you rather than like how you look at the world, which we spend so much time trying to put on this other air, right? Mm-hmm. And it came back and it was like, it showed me my things, and my things were like, I was a trendsetter with high prestige, a lot of rebellion, and like very low alarm. And I remember, and she was like, okay, so the trendsetters, they're at the 4%. Mm-hmm. I'm willing to guess you're up there as well. Mm-hmm. And I was like, well, what does that mean? Because that sounds like it should be cooler. But like every time I say things, people just look at me like I'm cool. Ridiculous. They're like the biggest weirdo ever, you know? And it was, it never felt cool ever. And so it's so funny. And she was like, that's the thing, because of where you're looking, like your natural, what's the word? You know, predisposition is to look ahead and see what, you know, like all this evidence here, but like look ahead and what does that bring you, you know? And that changed like my whole perception of myself for me, because then I was like, okay, so yeah, I'm a weirdo. I'm weird. You know, I'm kind of a goofball, but like, I still like the things that I have to offer are some deeper insight. And maybe that comes from also my job, like really being in the listening of people. Totally. You know, because we're dealing with 6, 7, 8 figures sometimes. And when, you know, it's none of my business how they spend their money. And it's all of my business in advocating for them. So it's been 17 years of learning how to listen.
Yeah.
Later in life.
Yeah.
Because I wasn't good at it up front. But yeah, that's how I do it.
Out.
Yeah.
What about you? You must know everything about everybody. You got like a vault. You like a
mind reader.
Just must be so much brimming with stuff you want to tell me.
I'm not a gossiper.
She tell you guys everything?
No.
You guys that don't exist? I mean...
Those people that aren't sitting right there?
I tell you, you know how like when Jerry Seinfeld or whatever in the Cars and Coffee thing or whatever, and he'd be like, this my friend was telling me about this show the other day walking down the golf course. And I said, no, I don't watch any shows. I never even heard of it. And then I was sick the other day. And I was like, fuck, I'm just laying here like...
I guess I'll watch the show.
What was that thing that Shawnee said to watch? It was like, oh, the thing with the coffee and the thing with the Seinfeld and the cars. And I was thinking, so I watched I binge watched, I totally did the whole thing or whatever. And he frequently is like, so the celebrity thing, now that you're a celebrity, this and that. And I guess I feel that with you with information, you must have information about everybody, the most personal stuff, what's gonna happen, what did happen, what do you do with all that?
I think you probably do as well. That's a really good question.
Reflecting that question back to me.
And I also think that there are those of us who we are in the service of people. Yeah. We really are. Think about the stories that you're told.
No, look, I'm behind the scenes.
Yeah.
Nobody tells me anything.
Well,
I'm not driving like you.
You're
showing
sales
a cool
people.
Property. Yeah, they must know it all too.
They know it all. I would say lawyers, they have that experience. Event planners. Oh my gosh, the stuff
they know it all.
Oh, think of a wedding day. And the crap that must go on. We're gonna get Heather Dwight on here and ask her. I know.
Get Heather Dwight. I want to know what she knows.
We're interviewing her next.
I'm feeling very juicy with wanting to know things right now about somebody. Give me something about somebody.
I can't give you anything about anybody because I have a license that I love to maintain.
Oh, that's right. That's a professional
but
thing.
I will say that we deal with realtors, deal with our clients most high anxiety times. There are, it is usually, unless, people are buying large companies, it's one of their biggest investments. For sure, it's this personal thing. And somebody asked me once about oh, it's just like buying a luxury car. And I said, but it's not. And I'll tell you why, because the luxury car, right? Or the watch or the whatever, that is all ego. It's ego and it's flashy and it's meant to be beautiful in this thing. But when you're selling somebody their homes where they're living or where they're entertaining, it's a second home or something like that, it is so about where they can go to be whatever that base line is, whether they're even aware of it, so a lot of people walk in and they feel the space. Right. So I think that it has been, like I said, being in the listening of people has been the biggest thing that has come out of that. I don't even know that I absorb it all the time, to tell you the truth. I think that I'm there in the moment and I'm really present in the moment, and then I just put it away.
Yeah, I bet.
Because it can't bring me down. It's a lot. And I also have a family that I have to be present for. So I think it's just, maybe I'm better at compartmentalizing than I thought I was.
Sounds great, but what a cool job.
It's a cool job.
Architecture. What's going on with building in this town? What's happening? Can I switch the tables really quick? What's going on? They're more, you're the modern expert.
We are really, what's happening? As far as architecture or building?
Selling. I mean, that's your forte. So what's happening? What's being sold? Is there anything being built? Is there good stuff happening?
I mean, you can look at, there are those units right there on the corner of Alpine and or Balsam and Broadway.
I've watched their progress.
And they're luxury. They're starting at 3.5, and they are all under contract.
They look nice.
They're beautiful, which is really amazing.
All under contract. Did you get them all?
I did not.
That's all right.
That's okay.
She let somebody else have some too. That's
it's
good.
a lot of people from out of town who have families here who are wanting to be in that space part-time.
That's a great. That's going to be
and nice. I wonder if we're going to start to see it's, the time of the Chinese investor has come to an end because of regulations that they have. But I do think that with the new tax reform laws, we're going to see a lot more second homes probably in the luxury realm being here for tax purposes. We've really run out of land.
Yeah.
So there are things that we've got it, but also you've got like one or two people who own a majority of the commercial space, and we can name those names and they're just not gonna let them go. I think they're almost legacy spaces. So
I know anybody who owns all that commercial real estate want to give me one.
I know, right?
I'll make a trade.
I know
That'd be a good
spaces.
trade. I don't know those guys, but if they want to know me, I'm over here at the Egbert house.
I know who to tell you to call, actually. But because there are some good spaces out there that, hopefully or potentially people would start to let go of. But I think they've got kids, and they've got, oh my God, it's, hundreds of millions of dollars of commercial real estate that they own.
Wow.
Mm-hmm. And I don't see them giving that up very soon. So all this kind of quacking that you hear about, like we're overbuilding, I mean, it's a longer conversation, but like all those hotels and everything that we saw built in the last 5 years were all approved way before 2008.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
Holy.
And so it's one of those things where, people tend to jump on the bandwagon right at the end.
Yeah.
And so I wish they wouldn't. I wish they would be involved the whole way through. We'd have more voters and the whole thing. But
interesting.
Yeah. So I think you're going to see a lot of like that light industrial out east kind of just still sitting there,
Really?
Mm-hmm. For a while. Because one person owns that area.
Oh, is that another person? Wow.
Mm-hmm.
I love you people.
I know. I want to be like that.
You are. In our own little way. I'll ask you offline.
Okay, you can ask me offline.
It's about lofts. It's not personal.
Oh, okay.
It was. I didn't want to make
we can talk about those things.
I didn't want to make
and
that
I can tell you about
weird.
Space. I got all this kind of stuff.
I was just curious the lack of loft space, but we'll talk about it later.
What would you say, like, just to go back to like what you're doing right now? Because I love our conversation. I feel like it could be like 3 hours long. But what are the pieces that you're creating right now? Because I do remember you telling me you were getting back into the studio. Mm-hmm. You were cutting down on like how many people were producing pieces. You were actually doing that work. That was in a conversation we had like maybe last year. Mm-hmm. What are you creating right now that you're really enjoying, really loving, really looking forward to, that you're seeing? Because I've seen some really cool shit come out of that studio in the last
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm not actually working in the jewelry shop as a jeweler right now, although that's always a goal of mine, is to get back in there and really like, set the diamonds and make the jewelry. It's still really not happening. There's so much transition, and I'm on the road so much, and I'm just not consistent enough with it because every piece of jewelry comes with a deadline. So since I'm up like out of my chair every 15 minutes or whatever, I just don't have the time. Although I'm planning my calendar for next year, obviously, and I'm really planning. I mean, I'm planning it.
Yeah.
It's not just that it happens. Like
you have to write it down.
I need to write it on the web.
You have to write it down.
If it's on the interweb, it's true. I'm going to write it on the interweb. I'm going to put it
on
my
the interweb, Google's calendars.
I'm going to put it on my Instagram feed. Michael, I want you to help me put this on the Instagram feed.
Michael, you do that.
I need to work like a Friday or a Wednesday or something where I don't work so I can work. It's one of those things.
Mark it out of your calendar. Where are you traveling to?
I'm traveling all over, but full circle. Let me answer the question first, because I'll get to that. Okay. I've been traveling a lot. Okay. I have been doing a lot of R&D work with my team. I'm also working on a sculpture that's a large-scale one that I've been working on with my team. I've been working on making this space that I've just talked about earlier, which is something that I do on my own. I'm integral in all the departments, and I do all the events myself.
That's great.
So we made a lot of headway in this. I'm working on a collaboration, which I'll tell more about in our next show, which is around smoking and golfing. And the luxury.
Can I laugh?
You just did. That's one of. It's not funny.
Is it serious?
As much as golf and smoking is.
Right. Okay.
So no.
No.
I mean, it's a very serious collaboration because everything I make is pretty serious. It's made out of gold and diamonds, and stone
legit,
and precious gems and stuff. But I see a really interesting collaboration, and it, like where luxury isn't simply who can afford the biggest diamond or who goes to the biggest gala or who's on the gala. I never knew.
See.
But who's on the red carpet, et cetera, et cetera. Who's got the complete like polyform kitchen or who only has one cabinet. It's like, it's not the same thing anymore, you know? So it really is not. It's changing. And what we realize with wealth and hobbies and interests is the athletes or the actors, people who can do anything often default to some pretty interesting creature comforts, like the lazy game of golf and the perfectly luxurious sport of smoking. And there's a generous and interesting and curious collaboration also around like BMXing and skateboarding and sort of this type of thing. So I'm just trying to always keep, if I was just like a jeweler for jewelry's sake, I would just sell diamonds by the carat. Sure. And it would just look different. But we're always looking to do something new and interesting and bring awareness to the brand. The brand doesn't just make jewelry. We are a lifestyle brand. I mean, I make tons of things. I curate dance I make food for people. It's like we don't just make the jewelry. So these objects are very jewel-like, and the experience is to be very jewel-like. It's when you went to see the Cartier exhibit at Denver, I'm sure a lot of people were shocked to see so much smoking paraphernalia, but the paraphernalia wasn't always about smoking. It was about hospitality. And I wonder what Bobby Stuckey would say. Bobby, I don't know if you just do these or you actually listen to them, but please DM us back. And let us know. Ping us on this. It's very important. Comment in the comments. We want to know that it's really about hospitality. I want to have a nice stand-up lighter on my desk and an ashtray in case Jen wants to fire up a stogie in front of me. Now, it's not that I'm encouraging her habitual cigar smoking, which is crazy, but it's if she were to want to have it, I would have a diamond-encrusted ashtray and a beautiful stand-up lighter or a paper-weighted sculptural matchbox. Right. Things that aren't meant to be what we've turned them into, which is like, oh shit, I got to go outside. Like taboo. I got to go have a smoke and I got to breath in and I got to eye drop and I got to get back into society. It's like, it's just part of the world. It's just like, like other things. It's like we all, everything happens. It's all good. What I want to do is make a high eye of it. I want to have a very high value proposition with everything we do. If you're a skater, you want to skate on great trucks with awesome wheels that work for what you're doing. If you're a smoker, light the thing with the integrity. You're going to smoke something that's going into your body. Make it the highest quality materials. You're not charring your body or hurting yourself to the best of your ability. And also, I've always been interested in a one-time purchase. And this is something also that Cartier and other people have really made around smoking is get a one-time thing. So the products that we're making, a diamond-encrusted, pipe or a lighter or dugouts or ashtrays or candlesticks that are, diamond-encrusted gold candlesticks or whatever, the idea is that you don't just throw it away. You buy good design, and good design works for you the rest of your life and for your family and everything.
I love that. And then it's sustainable too.
It's sustainable in that way that everything that I use is recycled or upcycled, or like the black jade that Tom Finneran, this is going to plug Tom Finneran in North Boulder, best stone carver around. Nice. And it actually works with the other great stone carvers too. Lou, I'm not forgetting about you, man. But he's moving down to Taos, so I don't know if we can claim him as a Boulder guy anymore.
He might say he got his start here.
Yeah, man, Tommy. He is carving us these jade pieces, and they're just phenomenal. They're beautiful, and they're freaking black jade, but it's black jade from Wyoming. It's not like it's local, regional to us. There's so much good history to good designed, thoughtfully produced products, whether it's about a golf marker or a gear shifter for a car collector, or I'm constantly working on different collaborations with different companies to expand myself as an artist and stay relevant, because I ultimately want people to find us interesting and come and look at the jewelry. Yeah, so,
I love that. I'm excited to see the house first stuff.
Come on in.
I am. Is it there?
I don't know. You gotta, the stuff goes around, right? Because we're doing you asked about travel.
Yeah.
So me and my team are traveling constantly. Boulder is my favorite market. It's not my biggest. That means there's still some rope, guys. Come on in. But we really rely to stay existing, doing the things that we do, and the community involvement and everything that we do here actually relies on lots of other communities around the world who help my business by them brand collaborations. With either retailers or with other designers or with patrons, the collectors ultimately who aren't just in Boulder. So I travel as well as the team does, not only to show jewelry, but to look at raw material and to really expand the intimate platform of communication, which I prefer, which is just face to face, or it's called events. It's called me taking you out to dinner, or taking you out to golf, or going to an art show with you and your family, or going to your house for dinner and bringing my team, or somehow bringing what we just did in New York was to, it was like the concept was to, bring Boulder to New York again and sort of bring some of the serenity and the calmness or the artfulness, the laid backness, to Manhattan. People really enjoy it. And then we'll do the same thing in Los Angeles and different cities where we don't really have a significant presence, but we have people that connect with our ethos. And so definitely a lot of travel.
That is great.
Yeah. On my way to Puerto Rico.
Nice. If
anybody wants to come see me. I just, Boulder's funny. Like, right? You're walking across the street and somebody waves or says hi, and this morning I had a good friend who I don't spend enough time with stop me across, coming down the street, and we got to talking, and he was sharing some dates about going somewhere. I was like, I'm going to be there at the exact same time. It's such a funny thing where business people or whatever are traveling kind of the similar places that we do. So anybody's going to be in Puerto Rico next week, come see me.
There probably will be. Knowing Boulder, everybody's going to Mexico and Puerto Rico this week. I would say this has been fabulous. I really appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Because this has been really cool. People usually tune in here because they want to know more about who you are and who our guests are. And I think you really gave them a really wonderful glimpse into what you're up to and how your brain works.
Thank you.
Which is beautiful. It's a beautiful mind, Todd.
Any of that came off sort of tweaky, that's Jen Egbert.
It's my fault.
That's the editing.
Yes. It won't be tweaky. That would be great. But would you share with our folks, do you have a Spotify playlist?
Oh, I don't have Spotify.
Oh my God. We're so bombing on the Spotify thing.
Oh,
what do you like to listen
can edit
to?
That out. God, there's so many creative answers to that. I love music, but I don't know music.
Okay.
So I might be
except for artist.
Yeah. I mean, I really, really like the art of friends more so, or people that I get to know their books and I learn more about their art. That's helped. I might listen to anything from, they say your favorite music is what you went to high school with, and we're the same age. So
New Order station.
I'm New Order. What would we
on right now, into this old new wave, and
I love it too. But I still listen to pretty much the same music I always listen to. I listen to reggae music. I listen to classic rock. I love classic piano. I've always had a very soft spot, and I'm very sentimental. I'm a crier. I believe if anybody's ever talked to me, I'm actually pretty emotional, up front. Don't try to make me cry. That's bullshit. Just saying. I've always really liked piano music. It just really connects with me. It's just that that kind of deep. No. And to any of the piano teachers in Boulder that have tried to train me, which there's many of you out there maybe listening, you tried hard. You were great. It was me. I kept thinking at each one of these milestones in my life, I'll pick up the piano. Then I'm I'm so freaking busy. I don't want to practice. So I always learned Fleuralise,
or fleur-de-lis. Yeah, or fur-elise.
Fleuralise. Right, I always learned that one. And when I get up to that point in my career as a beginner chapter 1 piano player with the other 5-year-olds in the room, and I get up to that song and I learn it, I'm I'm good. There's something, it just placates my need to love and be loved and feel loved. There's something about that song that feels so great. So this last round of piano lessons, I went for Moonlight Sonata because it was the one extra. Shundell one day was I play a little piano, and she just sat down and was
banging it out.
It's how people are, right? So no, I'm not a piano player, but I love piano. I love like Ray LaMontagne. I love boy poets. I love Damien Rice.
Oh my God, I love Damien Rice.
And I love all kinds of, with kids and family and friends. Like a great gift for me, usually, and my whole company gave it to me one time. Amy Ash and crew inspired this. It was so beautiful. It's one of the best gifts I ever got was like, give me a playlist. So everybody gave me music. But then, and I wasn't too embarrassed to say, but people think I was joking. I couldn't figure out how to play the damn thing. Oh, shit. So, sorry, I actually never heard the tunage, but everybody made me the most beautiful music, and it was on like a little power stick.
Like an MP3. Oh, yeah.
And I carried that damn thing around, wishing I could know how to use it until I losed it. But that was like best gift all time.
Yeah. I mean, it's like the mixtape.
Yeah.
Oh my God. We need to go back to the mixtape. That would be amazing. Yeah. Well, who's your favorite artist? You were talking about so not some music, but artists in Boulder, in the Boulder area.
That's so tough.
I know.
I'm not
Who's
really
somebody that really inspires
artist
you?
type? Well, gosh, everybody inspires me so damn much. You know who's really been inspiring me lately? Actually, I don't want to say there's. When you ask this question, it seems to be hierarchical. Like somebody, I want to just bring up somebody that you already brought up.
Okay.
Who's inspired me a little bit.
Yeah.
Actually, a lot.
Yeah.
Mr. Poole.
Mr. Poole?
Mr. Poole inspires me
rock it out
so much. So Terry Seidel City.
I so appreciate them.
Bringing art shows to Boulder that maybe not have been. Bringing art shows to Boulder that aren't for money, but are for community. And I'm not
purely
saying
out of
the
I know love.
Terry liked the money too.
Yeah,
but the art.
He's been doing it now for years, and it's you're right.
So I'm just saying. And in terms of art, there's so many damn good artists out there. So I'm going to say, everybody keep your eye out for the sculpture, the kinetic and static work of Steve Porsberg.
Oh, yes.
Just saying.
Oh, yes.
Just saying.
Okay.
Denver Art Museum, keep your eyes open.
Really? Nice job, Porsberg. That's rad. Really?
I'm just saying. I just think he's got it going on.
He does.
I think he's one of the more talented creatives who has been working on a way to communicate
Bring that forward.
And
that's
doing
awesome.
I don't know if he's doing it. I'm just saying, I think.
No, he's I've seen some of his stuff. Yeah, that's rad.
But there's a lot. I love
Jerry.
Oh, Jerry Wingren. Yeah, of course. And Don Cohn. I like really. I don't know if people know. Well, I don't want to go. There's a bunch of names.
Bruce Hiller. Yeah,
there's so
Joey,
many names.
Joseph Schaefer. Todd
so many names of talented people.
Lucien,
We have a great. Oh yeah.
Todd and Lucien have been doing shows.
Well, those guys shows. Susan Nickel, who's promoting shows.
Yep. Susan Nickel, thank you so much for doing shows again.
Thank you, Susan Nickel, promoting the hell out of artists since day one. She was the first buyer ever of my art when she was at McLaren Markowitz, and in 1996 in Baltimore Craft Fair, my first one where I went to. And they come around with Marilyn and Susan and these guys. I don't even know what I look like. I'm only 19 or something, 18, 19.
And they're 90s
and they're
dorks.
And they're looking, and they're in my booth, and there's a lot of buzz because nobody's ever seen me before because I'd never done anything before. And I get gracious enough to win the jury award or whatever. And so people are coming over more. And there's some little buzz around the booth, and Susan Nickel comes along and goes, "I like your weaving on your carpet," because I had brought a carpet. And then they got to looking at the jewelry and found out that I was in Durango, they were in Boulder. They bought my jewelry from McLaren Markowitz, and it set off a nice thing for me in Colorado because that was a nice transition out of the Tehuatan gallery space in Durango for me in Colorado.
Love that.
Yeah, so Susan, great job.
I love that. Well, we're going to have to wrap it up. I so appreciate your time. You're so awesome.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'm super excited about Art Venture and salons at Todd Reid. like that. It's going to be great. So Todd Reed, his studio is down on 21st and Pearl.
20th.
2015
Pearl is our address.
2015 Pearl Street. Beautiful studio, incredible jewelry. Are you guys still selling the Shinola record turntables?
Not doing any Shinola anymore.
Okay, take that part out.
But I want to tell you something I am doing just real quick. If I want to make a plug for another local artist, I know that people love Joshua Onisco.
His perfume.
In this town, in the world, people love Joshua Onisco because, and when he sings to you, he sounds like Frank Sinatra, and he actually pulls in Frank Sinatra into him, and he sings like the most lovable of lovers. It's the most beautiful thing. But the other thing that he does so damn well is mix up all of that stuff.
His scents are incredible.
All the fragrances and his feeling about the way things should smell is like about mine, about how the way things should look. I've really always loved those guys since he and Mike started Pangea and what he did with Pangea. And now I don't want to say it's most recent thing because I don't see Joshua all that much, and he seems to start a company about every 6 months. But Eau de Chèque.
And it's incredible.
Is an amazing fragrance. He believes to be, and I believe him, is the only natural organic fragrance line in the world today. He solely sources everything himself. The stories are amazing.
The scents are incredible.
Yeah, the fragrances. And I ask him, well, this doesn't smell the same. And it's like, yeah, because you changed. He taught me so much
about chemistry,
about fragrance, even how to put it on, because I was like, in the Friends episode where they dress up like cowboys and they shoot the fragrance across the room.
I never saw Friends.
Oh, Egbert, Jesus. We're going to do that
I
sometime.
wasn't watching TV in college.
Oh, my God. So anyway, he's shown, that we were doing it wrong, and a lot of people do it wrong. And it's like, when probably Bobby Stuckey sees people take a cork and stick it on their nose and he wants to throw up. And, Joshua told me that people will even put the thing on their nose. So we've been we tried to collaborate for years on this venture. Our collaboration didn't go in the direction that we had planned, but the friendship around his passion for this fragrance allowed me to be the only person actually selling it in Boulder, Colorado. It's totally awesome, and it's so well designed.
It reminds me of that early world, Horst kind of stuff that they were doing, pre-Aveda, when it was before it was Estee Lauder company, and all those kind of things, very holistic.
It is.
Yeah.
It's awesome. He also worked with Marissa Aragon Ware for the artwork. So talk about another artist who's making crazy headway in the world. Marissa Aragon Ware. Check her out. Boulder local. And she did all the artwork and graphics for Eau de Chèque. So come around and check it out. And if you see Joshua Onisco on the street.
Just saw him last week at Rosanna Hall.
Pat him on the back. Give him a hug. Smell good, though. He won't hug you if you don't smell good.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jennifer.
Thanks for coming. You're awesome.